Hello and welcome to Cornish Walking Trails. Today we're going to take you on a walk around Hayle and more.
Paradise private beach.
Hello everybody, we're in Hayle. We're going to have a look around Foundry Square and then head out to the coast, come back across the Towers, drop into Phillac and back to Hayle. Hayle is on the north coast of Cornwall near St Ives. For some of our research, this has been a brilliant reference book. It's called Chirks, Klidgy and Doodle Dashers, Hayle, Tales and Trails. So that name roughly translates into cinders, toffees and blowout toys, which I didn't know, but it's a great name, isn't it? This book is wonderful. It's given some suggested trails, although none of those we're following today. We've made up our own. But the lovely thing about it is the social history element, which we will talk about a bit later. So let's start with the basics. Hayle grew up from two separate communities. This end, Foundry Square, which was basically run by the Harveys in the 19th century, and the other end was Copper House. So the book tells us that the eastern end developed around the Cornish Copper Company and the western settlement around Harveys of Hayle. By 1847, Harveys as a business was listed as millers, engineers, iron founders, iron and coal merchants, shipbuilders, ship owners, ironmongers, wholesale grocers, tea dealers, general merchants and rope makers. It employed 1,000 men. I think you've got a quote about the power.
Quotes and memories in this book.
Yeah.
This one's by someone called James Knoll. It says, Harvey and Co was a law unto itself, weren't they? To be honest, they had the run of everything. It was a powerful family. I don't think of all the work we done over there we put in planning. We used to be told in the mornings, go so and so and do so and so. So that's that.
So it sounds like they could just basically do what they liked.
Yeah, law unto themselves.
Yeah. Wow. Imagine that power. Oh. Yeah, lots of motorbikes and stuff going around here this evening. The legacy of such a powerful dynasty can be seen all around us here in Foundry Square. It's called Foundry Square after the Harvey family, who had a foundry here. They made beam engines, the Cornish beam engines for the mines. They made ships as well, and they had fingers in nearly every pie, including the railway. That's the main line today. But once upon a time, where I'm standing, there used to be a station with a railway going off down Penpole Terrace.
It's twice now.
What's that?
Tried to get a shot of a train on the viaduct.
Didn't you get it?
No, I'm too slow.
I did.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
Oh. It's on the Heritage Centre behind me. That was Harvey's foundry site. And there's a clock tower on it. And the clock tower, 3 of the sides were set to London time, and 1 of the sides was set to Cornish time. There's a difference of 20 minutes between them.
I'm going to go and check it out and see if they're still like that. So those two are 5:10. Don't think I can get round there.
No, so you just wasted 20 minutes having a look.
Waste of time, wasn't it?
And the time's back to where we were earlier on.
This building behind me currently has a roof after the first floor. It didn't quite look like that when it was built. It was built as Foundry Market, and you can see in the picture it has 2 floors. So there was a fire, and it looks like they've completely redesigned it. This would have been the door, this would have been another round window, and now it's a square window. Quite fascinating. Are we going to crack on now?
We have got a walk to do.
Yes, so we're going to head down towards North Quay and the Towers, aren't we?
We are.
On the other side.
Oh, I still can't get it. Oh, it's free now.
Did you get it that time?
No, it's free now.
That was on the upside.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just. Like a lot of businessmen in that era, Harvey paid his staff in his own coin system that could only be spent in his establishments. and he stopped other shops springing up in Hayle. That changed in 1831 when the Truck Act was repealed, and if you notice in the terrace houses behind me, the shops at the bottom of the gardens, so the house owners thought, well, here we go then, I'm going to put a shop at the bottom of my garden and stop that monopoly from Harvey. This shop front is exquisite. You've got all the stained glass lights at the top. Aren't they beautiful?
Beautiful thing. It's like a fence one over the door as well, isn't it?
Oh, Trevivick.
Yeah, well, in this marble mosaic, isn't it?
Tile mosaic,
Tiles.
yes. Tiles, yeah.
The building is a customs house built in 1862. The compass rose, incised in the doorstep, shows both true north and magnetic declination.
So North Quay is under development. Unfortunately, not much has happened since COVID. Last 6 months it's been pretty static. Let's hope the developers can actually finish it and it doesn't stay like this. It'd be a shame. Bit of an eyesore like this, but finished it looks a lot better. Let's wait and see. We've left all that behind us. The noise, the traffic, people, and it's like that, isn't it?
The trains I couldn't pull.
Oh yeah. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is we've arrived on the Talons, and it's a little bit further out from Hayle. Join the southwest coast path for a bit.
These chalets are beautiful, aren't they?
I was just thinking one day I'm gonna have one.
Oh, it'd be nice. Can I come?
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
That lovely blue one back there.
Beautiful.
Yes, exquisite.
It got me thinking about the Wombles though.
How?
Madame Chalet.
From this point you can see up Hayle River, obviously the estuary here, Porthkidney Beach, the sandbar just close by, but you can also see Mill Monument all the way down around Cardiff Bay out to the island at St Ives. Phenomenal view, and on a night like this is why we wanted to do this in an evening. You get the sun on the north coast of Cornwall, well, northwest, sets in the west obviously, and gives you this fantastic evening light. That's where we should be.
Tide's coming in. do love being up on the towers. It's so barren up here. It's beautiful.
So this is my favourite walk around Hayle. Is it your favourite?
It is, that's a coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's useful actually, but it is our favourite walk around of Hayle and the Towers.
And as such, we've kind of put it together for you on Patreon. If you wanted to follow us on our favourite walk, hop over to Patreon. There's a full instruction sheet and an instruction video, so hopefully you won't get lost at all.
I'll have a look at that and then I won't get lost.
No, but you know it anyway, it's your favourite walk.
Oh yeah, it's my favourite walk. Yeah.
It's your favourite walk. Another good reason for joining us on Patreon, you can actually watch all of the content ad-free. And there is bonus material on there, there's extra videos or extended videos too. Have you seen the name of that pub?
The Bucket of Blood.
Wow.
I got a story to tell you about that.
Oh, brilliant.
It's an unusual name for a pub, isn't it? It must be one of the
Yeah.
strangest pub names in the country. It's called the Bucket of Blood. So they reckon the pub's about 300 years old. It used to be called the New Inn, but people refer to it now as the Bucket of Blood, and that's obviously what it's called. And the story goes that it was a smuggler's pub, and early on in its lifetime, the landlord went to the well, pulled up a bucket full of what he thought was going to be water from a well, and when it came up it was full of blood. So he looked down the well and there was a body at the bottom, a mutilated body, and they think it was one of the customs officers.
Oh,
So
what,
it's
that was
almost
after the smugglers?
Yeah, so it was almost like a warning to the customs officers to leave this place alone.
Oh.
Yeah, it's also supposed to be haunted.
We've arrived in Philac, a little village on the outskirts of Hayle. Now at the church. Pretty little church, and the garden looks beautiful. It's all tended. This lavender, look. I do enjoy lavender. I'll show you some of the other plants. We're too late.
One disadvantage is doing it with an evening walk.
Yeah.
A book.
A book. King's England book from the 1930s. And it says of Philac, 4 rectors of 3 centuries. They all came from one family called Hockin. And they have been preaching here in 3 centuries, out of the 18th into the 20th. They were preaching here before Napoleon was born. They were preaching here when the Great Peace was signed at Versailles. This is the record of a remarkable family of rectors. So you had William, who took over in 1763, and he was here as rector for 46 years. William was followed by William, who lasted 44 years. They're very long livers, aren't they? Who was followed by Frederick, and then Arthur. And their kind of reign, for want of a better word, lasted until 1922. So it's about 160 years, there or thereabouts. And in this book they say, we believe that there is no parallel for it in this country. Just having a wander around the churchyard like you do. We're actually looking for the graves of those 4 rectors. But I did notice by the door there's some steps by the porch. Wondering if there's a crypt here. It makes sense because we can't find them anywhere. What have you found?
I just wanted to show you this. So look, that's been cast.
Oh, it has.
Right, and it says it's to Tobias Ingram. And it says he died and he was aged 74 years old. And he says died August the 11th, 1801.
Yeah.
This is cast in
Yeah.
iron.
How strange.
Now,
I've never seen that before.
obviously we've got the foundry down there, haven't we?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, do you reckon he might have worked in the foundry? Oh, it might be 1891.
So there's a... Well, it would make a difference if it's 1801 or 1891. I think that's a 9. Okay. So the reason for the difference is that Copperhouse End of Hayle had a foundry, and so did Harvey's End.
Right.
But the Copperhouse End predates that grave.
Ah, so it closed before it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it would probably be more likely to be the Harvey End if it was cast in a Foundry, I reckon.
It's just unusual, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have seen this in one or two of the Cornish churches. I saw similar in Helston churchyard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it is unusual, isn't it? But they've actually worn really well.
If you know anything about casting a gravestone like that in iron, put it in the comments. It's fascinating. We'd like to know, wouldn't we?
I'll take it home and weigh it, see how much it's worth.
Yeah, so I think there's some steps down there, so maybe let's go over the railing and a door. Maybe that's the crypt. It's right next to the porch here, so maybe the important people went downstairs. Thinking about it, it would tie in. If that's a smuggler's pub, this is a smuggler's church, isn't it? So you would have a nice crypt to discreetly hide all of the contraband. Now, don't those coins on that cottage look unusual? Story about that. We've got more of these black bricks. And I'm going to show you a building now made entirely from them. We're now going to follow this wall made entirely of these fascinating black blocks. At the end of the black block wall is a whole building made from black blocks. They are called scoria, S-C-O-R-I-A. I've never actually heard the word pronounced. So the story about these black blocks, look at them, aren't they incredible? They were actually cast from the slag that was left over after the smelting that took place here at Copperhouse. And because it was a byproduct of the smelting, they didn't charge a lot for these blocks. If you built a house on the area that was owned by Copperhouse or Cornwall Copper Company, then you got them for nothing. And if you bought them from the company, they didn't charge you very much. So a labourer could then start to build his own home using these blocks. You can actually see where, as hot liquid, whatever it is, was poured into the mould, it formed these lines, look. And there's a shape in the form, and again there's obviously a mark within whatever they used to mould it from. Brilliant, isn't it? The Copperhouse end was a little bit nicer to its workers than maybe Harvey's end, but we don't know that for sure.
So filming that is important. I'd just like to state he's drinking this by the church and not where we're going next, and there's a reason for that.
Oh!
Yeah.
What, because this is holy water?
Yeah, and technically he's drinking, he's not being washed.
Okay.
Right?
This is intriguing. Where are we going now?
Over there. You're going to be impressed with this.
I am.
Come on. Do you think I'm building this up a bit too much?
Yes. I think you're totally over-egging it.
It's going to be brilliant. Come on.
I do like these black bricks. You'll be seeing them everywhere in Hayle now. They're extraordinary.
It's here.
Where on earth are we going? What are we doing?
Look, it's a well. St. Payala's well.
Paella?
Yeah, that's
I'm
it.
hungry.
I am too. It's in the air anyway. This will be good.
Right.
Hang on. Oh,
Can you even get in there?
this is used regularly. Oh.
Where now?
Did you hear that? Look at this. Isn't this impressive?
Oh,
Look at this.
is that it?
Yeah. You'll be amazed when I tell you about this.
Right. So there's a grill there.
Yeah. Is there any... Oh, there's water in there as well.
Is
there we are.
Oh, I don't know if I can pick that up on camera.
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe not. It might
probably.
just be old.
Okay.
Do you need a bath? Do you need to be washed? Yeah. Well, if you do, we can't do it here.
What?
Yeah. So I've got a book here.
Yes.
This one's called Cornwall and Its People by A.K. Hamilton Jenkin.
Lovely.
And it says in here, adjoining the churchyard at Phillack may still be seen the Holy Well, which is said to have been defiled by a certain Erasmus Pascoe, who used it for washing his sheep.
Well, that isn't what you meant to do in a holy well.
No. As a consequence of this act, all manner of ills are said to have befallen him, culminating in the death of his only son.
Oh, that seems a bit harsh.
The truth of this story can hardly be ascertained, although a tombstone in the churchyard bears witness to the fact in 1723 a father and son, bearing this name, were actually buried here within a couple of months of each other.
Oh, how sad.
Yeah. That's why I was wandering around the churchyard trying to find.
Oh, I see.
It's so overgrown I couldn't find it. It says a really interesting point is that so long after the Reformation, the waters of any well should still have been regarded with sufficient veneration to give rise to such a story.
Yeah.
So they were obviously held in very high esteem.
Yes.
And, you know, if you used it for purposes it wasn't intended for...
It lost its magic.
Yeah. So that is the Holy Well.
Don't know, you get any sheep in there?
I'll chuck them in, be alright.
Us Cornish were naughty, really, aren't we?
Yeah, so because he washed his sheep in there,
yeah.
Something really bad happened to him and his family.
No. Are you going to fleece this for everything it's worth?
I am. Yeah. I've stopped bleating on.
Let's head on down to the river and we're going to show you a fantastic use of those bricks or blocks made of scoria. Oh, bricks. They're everywhere.
They are everywhere, aren't they?
So today the river is actually a marshland and it's home to many varieties and species of bird. It looks beautiful with the water in. Hayle Church right at the bottom down there. And that's where we were earlier, the bridge and North Quay. That bridge is made from those fantastic scoria blocks.
The Black Bridge.
It is, and it's in the middle of the marshland at the Copperhouse end of Hayle. And it's got two arches.
It has. I've got a question to ask you about the two arches.
Okay.
One is taller than the other.
There's a reason for that.
I thought you'd know.
The Reverend, the rector up at the church at Phillac, wanted to row his boat under the bridge, so he asked for one arch to be bigger.
Oh, right, really?
Yes, without knocking his hat off.
Brilliant.
The power of a vicar, eh?
And he got his way.
Yes.
Brilliant.
So much texture in this. It is fascinating to me. I love it. So you've got a ridge there, and obviously same mould was used for this one. There's a ridge there, and it was used again for another ridge there.
Oh, I've got a stroking moment going on, Sarah.
Oh no.
Give it a rub.
It does, it's very...
Oh, it is, isn't it?
It's warm, isn't it?
Lovely, isn't it?
Textured. Amazing.
Yeah, it's quite shiny and smooth and lovely, isn't it? Mummy, I'm getting bored now.
So this area of marshland, once a heavily used industrial site, is protected, I believe.
All sorts of wildlife here now, isn't it?
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's a nature reserve, well, area of wetland, isn't it?
RSPB?
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Perfect if you enjoy bird watching.
Yeah.
A delight at the end of this walk is the King George V Memorial Walk. Part of Hayle in Bloom's strategy is to plant this up. It looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Stunning, really stunning, yeah.
And even in an evening sunshine, and you get this dappling of sunlight coming through, and it picks up all the colours, the pinks, the blues. It's such a joy to walk down here any time of day, but I think it's particularly nice in the evening.
Yeah, it's got the added bonus of being free.
Yes, it's kept a beautiful standard. And we found more of them. Oh look, this mould has a little dimple in it. They're like dice. Oh, I want some of these bricks in my garden. They're amazing. Oh, spot the gateway. My official new obsession in Hayle. looking for scurrier bricks. It's just fantastic, isn't it? The ultimate recycling. A hidden treasure on the King George V Memorial Walk is these sluice gates. Part of the story between Harvey's end of Hayle and Copperhouse end of Hayle is that they both wanted navigable channels for their trade, and they employed the sluice gate to flush out sand, and if one did it, it blocked the other's path, and if the other did it, it blocked their rival's path. So they were always a bit naughty about when they would sluice their harbours.
It's a huge palm tree and an incredible sluice gate.
Huge gate! I feel like a little tiny borrower.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean set,
Yeah,
isn't it?
It's amazing. It is, yeah, you are right. I see where you're going. Wow.
Sorry. I've just been to Buckingham Palace.
Have you?
Yeah, to see the Queen.
Queen Bee?
Queen Bee.
Ah, I got there before you.
She was in because the flagpole was up.
The flag was at the pole.
It was. Oh yeah, the flag was up the pole, not the flagpole was. Yeah, because it was. Yeah. Well, he thinks it's funny.
So we believe this is actually the site of the old sluice gates, and this is where they discharged all of that water held back in the copper pool end to keep the channel behind me here clear so that they could have ships navigate up to Copperhouse. Of the sluicing, our book here has a wonderful quote. Mervyn Sullivan says, "That was a terrifying sight to see the sluicing. You imagine now, both those sluice gates open, one from Carnshew Pool and one from Copperhouse Pool. When those two rivers of water met off the end of the weir, the torrent would go straight out into the bay. The water wasn't blue or green, it was yellow with sand." So just picking up that story about the railway, this is an old railway line, and I remember as a child there being tracks on this road, I'm fairly sure, but you can't remember that, can you?
I think it's Eastern 1950s.
You're local to Hayle and you can either confirm or say there weren't any tracks on this road all those years ago. Put it in the comments, put me out of my misery, because I'd really like to know.
So I'd just like to point out to anybody watching that this is anatomically incorrect because you have a very sad person there, and I'm not quite sure what those are. And that's massive. Yeah. Guess what's coming?
No.
Yeah.
Are you finally...
Fourth time lucky, here it comes.
Is it a train? Oh yes. You get a smile from the driver.
I hope I'm recording.
Wave at the nutter on the platform.
Massive.
Just a quick hop, skip and a jump. And we'll be back at the car.
Oh, that's a jump. Hang on. What do you want me to do? Hop. Hang on. Hang on. Right. Skip.
Yeah.
Jump.
Yeah. I think the dog's doing it for us. So we've just taken you on a fantastic walk, starting in Foundry Square in Hayle, all the way out to the Towers and taking in Philac as well.
Yes, it's a summer's evening we've done this walk and it's gorgeous this time of the day. Beautiful views out to St Ives, so you've got the sun setting, looking up towards Godrevy, and lots of history in Hayle and Philac as well. Lovely walk.
Definitely my favourite walk in Hayle.
So we're not going to score this because it's our homemade walk. It's pretty good.
And if you want to know a little bit more, we've put all of the details on Patreon. There's some illustrations on the written instructions and there's a video instruction as well, so hopefully you can't get lost.